Now inside this function, between the fade out and the fade in, we're going to do some additional animations. And now we're going to use the function animate. And we're going to be working with the fireworks images. So I'm going to start with this first one that has class equal to purple. And I'm not capturing them all at once. I just want to capture that very first one. So I use the $, parentheses, then the selector dot purple. And that will capture that element, and then I need to decide what I want to do with it. And I want to use the animate action, okay? So there's the animate, and now animate has several parameters. The first one is going to be the things that we want to change. And there are lots of styles that we can change. We're going to actually be changing the CSS is what we're going to do in here. And if we go look at it, there's actually several that we can do. Here's the animate. And it talks about the different kinds that we can use, what different animations that we can use. So the first one are those parameters, and then we have a speed and a callback function. So what I want to do is to change, if we go to this style and we see that purple has a top and left, and we know from the HTML that purple has a height and width of 0 each. And so I want to change their height and width. Now notice that this is just the first parameter, and it tends to get really long. And this first parameter is inside curly braces. And so I'm going to do this first parameter right here, and I'm going to put them on different lines. But notice that this is everything in the curly braces is the first parameter to animate. And I'm going to change height. Oops, I don't want to capitalize it. Height. And I'm going to set it equal to 640 pixels. Now notice how this looks a lot like CSS, right? We have the height colon 640 pixels. So that's a lot like how we do it in CSS. In fact, the difference is that the value is in quotes. And so that's the part that's different than a style rule in CSS. And now when we want a second one, here's another difference. We're not going to separate it with a semicolon. We're going to separate it with a comma. This is a list of different things that we want to change. So I'm going to change the height and the width. And I'm going to want the width to be 640 as well. Okay, and I'm not going to put a comma because this is the last in the list. So I have height, comma, width. And that's what I'm going to want to change. So they're going to go from, remember that they started at 0, and now they're going to go to 640 pixels. And also remember that this is in the function, so it's not going to happen until I click on the fireworks. So I click on the fireworks, and there it is. It happened, right? Also that's happening, Sue's Diner fades out. This goes from 0 to 640 by 640. So let me do that again so you can see what it's doing. Now notice that it starts right in the middle, which is where I want it. And then because the top and the left are set, we can go see that in the style. We can see that on purple, the top is set to 300 pixels and the left to 460. So the top 300 and the left to 460 ends up right there is where the corner of that image is. And then as it gets bigger, it goes bigger from that point. And you can watch this happen as I reload this. And I can click on it. And there it goes. Whew! Did you see that? It starts right there really small, and then it goes out this way. So now to get that to stay centered, I also have to move the top and the left values. So I've already played with this enough to figure out these details that I want to change them to. So I want the top to go, instead of, it starts out at 300 and I want it to end up at 15. So I'm going to set the top, and again we use the same style rule process that we do, but I want this to be 15 pixels. And now I do need a comma after this one because I've added another one. And I'm going to add left, so I need another comma here. I'm going to have 4 different properties that I change. So there's the left. And the left that I want is 155 pixels. Okay. And no comma because it's the last. All right, so there I've got the list of ones I want to change. I refresh. And I click on fireworks. And there it is. So notice that it's because I made it bigger and changed the top and the left, because the top and left is always in that corner of the picture. But because it moved at the same time, it kept it in the center. So there's how we got our firework to start.